got some coffees. We got some cake.
Made very good cake.
You like it? That's not bad, eh?
Very good cake.
All right. Well, we like to, every time one of our suppliers has, extra 50 or 100 pounds of bananas, we're not going to let it go to waste. So we get together. Some of our friends will lend us their commercial kitchens, and 120, 150 banana loaves later, cube them up, quarter them up, go hand them out to people that don't have as much food as us. But that's neither here nor there. We got these beautiful cups of coffee poured for us here at Bow on Hair. But why are we here?
So, back about 2 years ago when I started a business, I followed your page already. You had entrepreneurs on there. You talked about, business type stuff, and I remember just reaching out and asking, hey, how do you start a business? I mean, at that time I already did. I a small little construction company. I take other construction owners' advice. Just grab some tools, go to work.
Go to work.
Get a trailer. I know there's more to it, so I follow.
It's a good attitude to have, though. If you're willing to go to work, that's the first step.
That's the big thing. If you're able to wake up on your own and get in your vehicle and go to work for yourself, not for somebody else, because there's no one telling you, hey, you have to be here at this time.
You have to be self-dedicated to run a business.
I've never worked more than I do now, but it's just in a different way. I don't work from 8 till 4, 9 till 5. It's 7 days a week. It's 24 hours. I now understand more, and say, yeah, it's never ending. There's always something to be done, whether it's directly on the tools or, in the office or, relationships is I think that's a part that a lot of people miss.
Well, they think you just show up and build something. They don't realize that you had to get the contracts, you had to research and buy the tools, you have to hire people, which means there's a process. You have to take on the liability, the risk of them screwing up when you're figuring out if they're good enough to work with you.
Yeah.
Then there's the other side of relationships where I know that you're married and you've got a family. You got to balance, as we found out that doesn't work. You're working for a better life for them, but at the same time, that means you have to be away from them longer. This does not sound fun at all. So why are you psychotic enough to go and do this?
You hit a point where no matter what career path you choose, there's a ceiling working for somebody else. I find with entrepreneurs, sometimes they want to do it their way, which isn't the wrong way. It's just like I like to do it this way. I work for a guy. I really don't like his way. I want to do it for myself. For me, I do enjoy like waking up and figuring out, okay, I can dictate how my day goes. It gives me opportunities, or possibilities, I should say.
There it is.
To do things in a different order, and I always put it like, okay, I can go to work and work from 8 till 5. I can go home, have supper with my wife and kids. It doesn't always happen that way. So the fact that, maybe I wake up and something happens and there's a possibility to do something else, I can always make up the time on a project, after hours or on a weekend where, some of these companies, they work, Monday to Friday, no weekends, so you're able to kind of dictate in your own way, which it's funny because it always leads you to, you're just working all the time.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a little bit backwards, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to work my own hours, I can do what I want, whatever, and it's just like, I
don't know whoever come up with that. I got to make my own hours. Is that when people try to sell someone a course on how to be an entrepreneur or start a business? Yeah. There are no more hours when you're an entrepreneur. There's just days, and That's it. There's no weekday or weekend.
No, so
there
Monday
is
to
7
Sundays
days.
don't exist. I don't
No.
go off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like it's day 1, day 2, day
Yeah.
3.
It's going to take 4 days to do this, then I do the next week.
Yeah. When is it? Okay, this week. Usually go by weeks just to keep things, clients happy and like, hey, but there's always change orders and stuff. So I mean, projects go longer, the weather, everything like that. But
Oh, I mean, just on the first project that we worked together, you came and helped build a fence for some seniors who needed. The fence was in terrible repair, and they didn't really have the money to afford it. So, I put up the money for supplies, you put up the time to build it. That took longer than it should just because the weather changed. So, I mean, everyone after that project had to wait. There's another relationship you have to nurture because most people don't want to wait. If you say, okay, I've got this fence project, it'll take 2 days, I'll be there on the 3rd day, and it rains for 2 days.
yeah, and then it pushes everything else back.
Everything
And
else.
it's like, I remember I tried, I came out in the morning, it was pouring rain.
Yep.
And I tried and I said, you know what, maybe I'll make use of the time while I'm here. I loaded up all the garbage, and I succeeded in that day where, and that's what's going to separate, I think, real entrepreneurs and maybe an employee. The mindset shift is that like I got one thing done that I don't have to do later, even though it's raining. I put on a raincoat.
Yep.
Where the other side might just say, "Oh, it's raining. I'm not going to go in today."
Yeah, everything moves one
yeah,
day, and if
it's
it's
like-
raining tomorrow, 2 days.
Yeah.
It's always something else why it's not convenient to do it now.
Yeah.
And businesses that fail have a lot of employees or supervisors like that, where they look at it as just a paycheck. The money will always be there, they hope. So they're just going to move it along, and whoever gets delayed, that's their problem. Because you know what? You know the weather.
Yeah.
The moment, I remember that day, you were there, I hadn't gotten to the backyard yet, and you were picking everything up, and I just thought, we're going to do a lot more work together because we have multiple properties across the city. But just seeing you out there in the mud.
Yeah, like time waits for no one, right?
No.
I mean, it sounds, kind of
Cliche,
cheesy.
yeah.
Cliche, cheesy. I have something to do, and when I don't have, maybe I do have a day between jobs, whether it's office work, family time, trying to balance and find it. It's almost impossible. Like
There is no balance. This is why when people say you need work-life balance, I can tell their employees because there's no balance when you want better than average.
yeah,
The example I always give is you only have 100% time and 100% effort. So if you have 2 different things that you want to succeed, you have to split 100%. So if you've got a career and a family, or worse yet, your career is being an entrepreneur where you're building a future, not just surviving in the present, you have to figure out which one to prioritize, and the other side is going to suffer. Because if you do both at 50%, participation awards don't work in success. So if 50% does not pass the life grade, so if you focus on your business, being an entrepreneur, you're probably, I'm not going to say fail, but you're going to lose the time in the family side of it. And this is how a lot of wealthy entrepreneurs end up without, a great situation in the family life. If you're forced to do all the family life, the business suffers, but then the family also suffers in the future because all those years didn't amount to anything because you did 8 hours worth of work as a business owner.
yeah.
And this is where the average employee who thinks they're being taken advantage of, they're not paid for their time, the employer makes all the money, they have no idea in the background what the employer had to risk with getting loans to start the business, how many hours went in long before the business was even open, the permitting, the build-outs, the TIs, the contractors that screwed them over, then the hiring process where they went through months to hire, and just to find out half of them weren't even good to begin with, and they haven't even made $1 yet, and they're hundreds of thousands, if not a few millions, into this business that they've built for employees to come in, work 2 weeks and get a paycheck and say, oh, I've been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But they get to go home to their partner and their family. That's their balance. It's very frustrating to see how many people do not walk the other line.
Yeah, and just like from a respect thing too of you know, people will get hired and 2 days later they're like, oh, I'm not interested, I quit. And they don't realize throughout the hiring process of like, you know, examples in the past, I know some employers that I used to work for that would go through 25, 50 people, and they'd have to like, okay, well, out of this 50 people, how do I narrow down? And then all of a sudden you're doing 5 to 10 interviews in person to try to get like, hey, what's your experience in this? And you know, everyone sounds like an all-star, and then, you know, if they make it, hey, we're hiring 2 guys, I'm going to choose these 2, and then, so you spend all this time and money as a business to hire just for them to say, no.
And that's not even, you haven't even talked about wasting the time on training them, because they may know generally the process, let's say in construction, but maybe they don't do it at your level. They've done general construction and you're a finished carpenter.
Yeah, exactly.
So you find out after 2, 3, 4 weeks or a couple months that they just keep messing up, which is okay. That's that probationary period that an employer's, okay, we'll get you to understand the level that we're working at.
Yeah.
But then if you find out that they're not progressing or fixing their mistakes, you have to let them go, which means you have to start that whole 3-month lottery gamble all over again.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult. So imagine how much time just that side takes.
That's
it's
what
like,
an HR department.
So I get home, you know, I get home from work 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and it's like my wife gets home 5 o'clock. It's feed the kids, cook supper, feed the kids, do the dishes. If I'm doing all this stuff in the background, I mean, from a distance, a lot of people will think it's like what some entrepreneurs do is selfish. They think it's for selfish reasons. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm trying to build something for my family, possibly for my kids to take over. Give them a possibility to, hey, if you want to work in the family business, or even to be able to leave them something, as opposed to just, you know, the other side where, who knows?
Yeah, just let them defend for themselves.
You know.
I think a lot of people have forgotten that this way of living for the last few decades, couple of generations of just spend, YOLO, you know, go on vacations and all that just because you want to. I think a lot of people have forgotten that the only reason they have the privilege to live in a world like that is because their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents did unspeakable amount of work and put in so much effort to either get them out of a country that was actually holding them back, or very dangerous, or didn't have any opportunity to get them here. And that allowed people to start being selfish with their time and thinking, I'll get around to the, you know, children's education. I'll start putting money away next year. And they say that for 10 years. And then all of a sudden the kid's going to college and they need a $30,000 line of credit or loan, or like, every problem just compounds with time. All investments compound with time, and problems compound with time. So I know that was a long-winded way of, you know, elaborating on what you just said. You've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, right?
Yeah, my daughter's almost 4, and my son just turned 1 2 months ago. So.
And I bet the only thing on your mind is making sure that they don't have to go through what everybody else is talking about as a problem right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if I have to sacrifice, you know, my wants so that I know that they'll be set up, that's easy. That's
it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's like, I know I could do better at everything. I could put more time into my work. You know, I could put more time into family. But it's that you're trying to find a balance. I don't have the answers. Everyone's situation's different. So you take advice from people that you know, friends, family that you trust. But in my family, so I'm the only one who decided to start a business. My dad has openly said, I never went that route. So the fact that you're looking for a group of individuals that have, you know, had successful businesses, possibly sold businesses, they've reached that level. he thinks it's fantastic that, you know, I'm willing to, like, I always tell some other guys that start out, and I'm like, what are you doing to find work? Okay, well, I'm kind of just waiting on for referrals. Okay, well, like, are you cold calling people? Are you marketing? Are you doing this? Or, well, I'm not doing any of that. It's like, well, then what's your ROI on all this? You can always do more. I think people have this 40-hour-a-week mentality.
Well, that's 15 years ago. Now it's 28-hour-a-week mentality.
And it's like, but like I worked at a place where after the oil field and I started carpentry, I worked at for an employer. We only worked 40 hours, and the guys there were just like, man, like, I'm just exhausted at the end of the week. And I'm like, dude, we're doing 40 hours a week here, like in the oil field. And I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh yeah, you know, I did 40 hours by Tuesday. But I mean, this 40-hour-a-week mentality, it's like, I have done more in the last 6 months than I probably have done the 5 years before.
And why do you think that is?
It's just, I think, like, my mindset shift. I started asking questions that, actually, I just looked in the mirror, really. And you have to just be straight up with yourself and just be like, okay, what's the path I'm on? Am I in the same position I am last year? Am I in the same position I am the year before? If you're, you know, doing the same thing over and over, and I'm not where I want to be, then it's like, okay, be honest with yourself. What are you doing to better yourself? And for me, it started with that question: how do you start a business? Like, do you want to meet for coffee? And then from there, you know, it kind of spiraled into what it has.
Most people kind of get frustrated because we'll answer them with, you're not going to, this isn't a 20-minute conversation.
No.
People are like, oh, can we grab coffee? I can make half an hour. And I'm like, if all you can do is half hour, it's best we don't even bother to sit down, because you're not even going to ask the right questions. You only know what you know. So how are you going to learn something you don't know in just half hour? So if you don't know something, you don't even know what question to ask to get to that answer. And it's kind of like that catch-22. You don't know what to ask, so you can't get the answer you want. So a first meeting with, people call like mentors or whatever, the first meeting is just coming to an understanding of how to use the right dialogue so you are getting the answer you want. A lot of people are like, well, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's not what you said. That's not the right question, because the question to that is easy. The solution to your problem is far more intricate. And I think that was the first thing. Other than, so why are we here?
Yeah.
The next thing was, so please ask your first question that's not even going to be correct. And you got to have this laugh when the smile on your face, and you laughed and you said, well, I just want to do more, but I don't know what more is. How should I start learning? Because you were trying to figure out how to phrase it smarter than what you were thinking, like most people do. But you don't know.
Just be honest.
Yes, I love the honesty.
Just ask it how you need to. Listen, I'm wrong all the time. I think
We
that's
all
the
are.
number one. You know, the last 6 months, like I said, my mind, like, I don't believe the same thing that I thought I believed for a very long period of time. 6 months ago, you know, I thought I believed certain things, and I've learned that to be like, no, it's just like, I'm gonna go a different route. I'm not gonna pay attention to all the noise that's going on. I've met a great group of people that I now consider friends, that we're all just like trying to do, I mean, it's fun. Like, we're just trying to do cool things. You know, outside, I guess you could say outside people ask me, like, I'm like, you know, we go to a watch event. It's just like, I didn't know you were into watches. I was like, I know nothing about watches. But you start meeting people, and then all of a sudden, as a community, you start maybe getting in on a project together. And to do it together is so much better than trying to do something alone, because number one, you get to talk to people. I mean, I don't like being locked in a basement by myself, framing.
Yeah, who cares how good the money is?
I don't really care to listen to the radio. I do have my music in, but yeah, doing something together, especially with like-minded people, it's been a lot different. But I mean, I've been having fun for the last 6 months for sure.
And I think that's why, like, when I asked, we'll call it the senior members of the group, how should we interact with the junior members who've come to search out knowledge or have questions for us? How should we interact with them going forward? Because we don't do the same things that we did 5 years ago under what we'll call the pandemic. There was completely different rules. And we basically said, well, let's just start inviting people out and see what their interests are, and then just let people connect with each other. We don't call them networking events. The example you just threw out was the watch event. I like watches, but I really don't care about them. But if it's an event about watches, what type of people wear watches or collect watches? They're usually more affluent people, entrepreneurs, investors, and they like certain timepieces. Not the value on them, the story behind them, the appreciation for time and mechanical. It doesn't matter if it's a $5 or $5 million watch. And this is where I think most of what we're doing has really escaped a lot of people. So yeah, this watch event, people think, oh, I'm not into watches. It has nothing to do with the watch. The watch was the excuse to get people together. And a lot of people are like, I'm not going to go to that. I don't know anything about it. I'll look stupid. I have no interest in it. And then you find out the 20 people that were there are from all different, like I said, they were all entrepreneurs, or they were all from an affluent crowd. So you got to find out what they do during the day. How do they run their businesses? What type of things they invest in? What type of projects they invest in? I think people talked about watches for 20 minutes of the 3 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. And I felt like I was the only one who knew nothing about watches. I got an Apple Watch just because it texts me. So if I'm under a deck doing something, I can look, okay, should I pick this phone call up or should I call them back, kind of thing. You quickly realize it had nothing to do with watches. It really didn't.
You're part of a fitness challenge that we did. That had like 3 layers. Okay, we're going to get everybody fit. We're going to create a community where obviously they have the same mindset of, I need to be physically better than I currently am. And then the third one was, what can we do together as a group? And then all of a sudden, running groups started, walking groups, cycling groups. We have a gold medalist in there. Like, he doesn't need our inspiration, but he got involved because he's outside of the city, and he was like, I really want to be part of this because you guys are doing really cool things. It's beyond fitness. It's the group you've created. And I think these smaller side quests that we've been doing has produced a lot more community idea that, like you said, let's do it all together. I may be able to go faster by myself at the beginning because I don't have to bring everybody up to speed. I'm the fastest at this or the smartest at this. But then you hit that roadblock of, I don't know how to do the next step. And that's when the baton gets passed to the relay team, exactly. And they're like, oh, don't worry, I got this leg. And then not only do they carry the team forward, they're teaching you how to run that leg of the project. To me, it just all started making sense there. And we should have started this much further back, but the amount of, we didn't get a lot of people like you that wanted to be part of it. So it's just been nice to see, like you said, 6 months we've been working together.
I followed you guys when you started during COVID, and
5 years ago, 5.5.
It was a giveaway page, and I had no idea. And at the time I was an employee, so I had dreams of being having my own construction company, and then it hit that point where I remember reaching out early on and was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a company, or like, if it's something you're ever interested in talking about, just let me know and we'll go for coffee. But then it was like, time went by and I'm like, you know what? People will, I remember you made a point, a couple months ago, a few months ago, you're like, people.
This is what I like about doing it in a public place, because this is a place of business. We work with the entrepreneurs that open this up. It doesn't, people, at the gym when people are making a video and they get mad when someone walks in front of their video, it's a public place. I love it. I want this to be busy. I want there to be a crowd there, because I don't need this to be a perfect video. We're just trying to get the dialogue understood. I want this place to be busy. Like, you can't see off camera, there's another 10, 12 people here. I love that. I'm immersed in something that we helped grow a mindset to run these type of businesses. I love it. So that was a little bit of a side tangent, but sorry for everybody that's watching the video. I actually quite enjoy that this is a regular environment. It's not a podcast studio where everything's perfect. No, it's Edmonton at a distance.
Real Edmonton.
Real Edmonton, not scripted Edmonton.
No, it's,
I literally drew you in yesterday. I'm like, I think you were interested in talking about stuff. Do you want to come tell your journey?
yeah.
Like, it's not, you'd say, oh, I'm not really good at explaining things, but I like that. I like the raw, untainted, unscripted dialogue that we usually have. Normally we'd be having a cigar when we were working on projects together. Who does that? Have you ever, while doing a job for someone, ever had a cigar with them and they'd be like, how's your business going?
You know, yeah, it's that's never happened. Usually, I mean, people usually bake or you know, make food and come out, whatever. But that was a first. But the amount, and I remember telling you at the time, the amount that I learned from that one conversation,
Building the fence?
was worth way more than the fence. You know, if you were to compare like a monetary value, it's just like that was worth more in itself, and that really helped shift my mind into doing essentially doing things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't going out. I mean, this isn't going out and drinking with your buddies. This isn't going out and, you know, going to a sporting event. It's like, to me, this is productive.
No hangover.
No hangover. I never know what I'm gonna. I mean, everyone's so worried about, well, what am I gonna get out of it? It's just like, if you're always gonna look at it like, oh, I have to get, like, what am I gonna get out of it? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, for me, I just met some cool new people. Now I'm friends, and we want to do cool things around the city. You made a good
And in
point.
other countries.
Yeah, well, that's another conversation. You made a good point when Krispy Kreme opened. I haven't forgot this, and it's just like, people are willing to wait 3-4 hours in line for Krispy Kreme donuts, but they won't go to an hour-long seminar that all I need to do is bring a food bank donation to learn about. We had a business one, we've had a development one, just to better themselves, or hey, you can do something outside of your normal 9 to 5.
Or your normal friend
Or
group.
your normal friend group. It's just like, my friends will always be my friends. They're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. But it's like, now that I have a family and I'm trying to quote unquote balance my time, I have to be a little selfish, yes. I might not be able to go to everything, but I'm having more fun now than I ever have, especially the last 6 months.
Because there's no agendas behind it. Like, you were not asked to pay for our time. You know, this is what I think people don't understand about mentorship, because they're so used to someone trying to sell them a program online. I think a lot of people haven't reached out or didn't reach out when we were available because they're like, what's the catch?
That's the first question I've been asked by multiple people when they said, well, where are you going? And it's hard to explain, because it's mainly just showing up. Just show up to these things. And it's like, well, like, how much does it cost or whatever? And I'm like, this isn't like
this isn't a $10,000 course.
Not a coaching program.
Yeah.
Like an Instagram. You know, like they say, like, if the guy that's trying to sell you a course on Instagram, it's like, that's his main source of income. He's probably not as wealthy as you think he is, or as he's portraying.
That's why he needs you to buy the course.
Yeah.
He'll rent the Lambo. You can rent jewelry, rent a watch. You can
and
rent
I mean, you
friends.
guys were so involved with the community before. Obviously, you didn't show your face and stuff. So it's like, but then I mean, you meet enough people start recognizing who's doing this, and then it's like, okay, well, how can we help, right? And it's always been about like.
And that was your barrier to entry. You're welcome to come to the seminars,
Yeah.
but you got to bring food for the food bank. So as a group, if we've had 50 or 60 people, that's carloads of food going to the food bank. Cool. You helped us feed the city. We're going to help you understand starting a business, budgeting, basic finances, what investments look like, what's available to people out there that school doesn't teach them or their average parents didn't teach them. And all we asked you guys was to do that. And then some of you went steps further, brought jackets when we were putting clothes on people.
I just brought a jacket tonight.
Yeah, and it's like, and you had already brought before. And this is the point. When you're done needing money, what is the transaction? What is the currency? The currency is what's needed. We need more hands to help feed people. It's very difficult for me to go out myself and feed 300 people outside of a shelter. But if I have 4 people, we can do that in 20 minutes. I didn't ask you to buy the food. I just asked for your hands to help. You hand out the warm drinks, someone else hands out the treat, you hand out the bowl of pasta, or you dish the pasta, whatever. 5, 6 people, and hundreds eat in 20, 30 minutes. That's all we really asked from people. And people thought, nah, that's too good to be true. Mainly because they didn't want to believe, because in their lives, they don't do anything above average. So they put it on every situation that, no, that can't be true. No one would do that.
Yeah.
What they mean is, I wouldn't do that, but I don't want to admit that, so I'm going to say nobody will. Which is cool. I respect whatever anybody thinks. It doesn't affect me at all. Negative people don't affect me. People have been like, how do you put up with people who just are constantly negative? And I said, why would I put up with them? They're not in my life. What kind of people do I have in my life? People that come out to help build a fence for some seniors. Someone that comes and helps build a patio. So now this house that we're using as the group project has a gigantic concrete slab to have cigars on and barbecues, to have more conversations like this going forward in the future. So why would I possibly hang around with someone who has something negative, not constructive, negative? Why would I ever hang around
That's
with
what
that?
everything's negative, whether you go online.
Yeah.
Facebook's the worst. Instagram, all the comments. Anytime you open up comments, it's just negative. And you know what? I never post anything online as far as that, because I have better things to do.
Good.
But you know, I was in the oil field, and you know, I fell into the trap of like the negativity. You know, everybody's out to get me, and you know,
While you're making $100K a year without an education,
yeah,
I know that's
straight
the
out of
Alberta.
high, straight out of high school, I basically got into the trades, and then it didn't take long.
To believe you were the victim.
But that's the thing, and it's like, okay, so now it's like in the last 6 months specifically, just changing the mindset of like, okay, well, it's not me against the world. But I'm the driving force behind change for myself. I really don't care anymore what anybody thinks that I'm doing, because I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.